Hi everyone, this is Mrs. Senderak back to help you with your math homework for your week 2 packet. This is the back of the first page. If you're on Google, then this is the second page in there. Just make sure that whatever you're working on says week 1 at the top, and that it's the Wednesday, Thursday side, and you will be in the right place. Let's get started. Problem number 1, on Monday, you have to simplify and show your work. One important thing for this problem, first thing I notice is that there is a little exponent right there, that 2. We need to make sure that we are doing our order of operations in this problem. And our order of operations, remember, is please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. So we don't have parentheses, you'll move on to the next step, which would be your exponents. And remember, this is not the same as 3 times 2. You should not get 6 for your answer there. And then you will work down. A lot of times when we do these in class, we end up making a shape that looks like a pizza to get down to our final answer, doing one step each line. Just remember your order of operations. Question number 2, model and solve. 4 divided by 2/3. Now, for the model part, I went ahead. It's a little bit tricky on my iPad here to label this line. But each one of this section, we need 4 total parts. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 total parts. And then each of those parts needs to be divided into 3. So that's why I have these other little lines in there. And it's not exact because it's hard to get it divided correctly on here. But as long as you have the basic idea, divided into 4 parts with 3 in each part, you're good to go. And then from there, to model it, you would count out into 2/3. I'm going to show you a little more on this because this is different than we did in class. So there would be 2/3 and then 1 2/3, 2/3, 2/3, 2/3, 2/3. You get the idea. And without the number line, you may be able to do this without the number line. Remember, when we divide by a fraction, we have to keep, change, flip. Keep, change, flip. So your 4 is going to become a fraction, 4/1. And then you're going to change your operation and you're going to flip your second fraction over. And then you will just multiply it straight across and reduce it. You should end up with a whole number as an answer for this. Your answer will not be a fraction. If you got a fraction, look at it again. Just remember, keep, change, flip. Question number 3, based on the diagram, and this is the diagram it's talking about, describe how a parallelogram, right here, is related to a rectangle. So how are those shapes related? And they've shaded in part of it for us. Think specifically about the area of those shapes. How are they related? What could you do to our parallelogram that would make it similar to our rectangle? Question number 4 is just multiplying fractions. And remember, when we multiply fractions, we can just multiply, straight across. We do not have to find common denominators. You just multiply straight across. Now, these answers can maybe be reduced. If you have a fraction that can be reduced, you should be doing that. So, for example, if we came up with an answer of 2/4, that could be reduced to 1/2. So reduce any fractions that you have that are able to be reduced. And then problem number 5, write either greater than or less than to make each statement true. This number line is here to help you. I would suggest going ahead, especially when you're working with the ones that have negative numbers in them, like these. I would go ahead and plot them on that number line to help you see them correctly. So to plot them, this first one's pretty easy. We have 2 and 7. 2 is less than 7. So do that for all of those problems. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. And then on to the Thursday half of the worksheet. Question number 1 on Thursday. Use substitution to match these equations or these solutions with their equations. So I am going to take, let's see, our first equation is a plus 2 equals 9. So if I take a plus 2 equals 9 and I substitute, I'm using substitution. So the first number listed was a 7. So I'm going to start with my 7 and I'm going to substitute it in for my a. And I'm going to try 7 plus 2. Does that equal 9? If so, then in that problem, a must equal 7. Let's go back and look at another one here. You will do the same thing, substituting these numbers in for the variables in each of these problems. And if it's true, then that is your answer that will go right there. So for this one, let's try another one. C plus 1 equals 7. So if I had C plus 1 equals 7, and I try and substitute 7 in there, 7 plus 1 equals 7. Well, that is not true because that would be 8 equals 7. So just fill and kill, figure out which number is the correct one to solve these equations. And you will only use 3 of the 4 numbers. There is an extra one in there. Question 2 on Thursday, use the commutative property. Remember, commutative means that you can move things around. So rewrite this expression using the commutative property. Question number 3, identify if the question is statistical or non-statistical. Remember, a statistical question has many answers, many possible answers. Non-statistical, if you ask, you're going to get 1 answer. So what color are your eyes? If you ask someone what color are your eyes, can they give you many answers or can they just give you 1 answer? And question number 4, graph and label the polygon. On Google Classroom, you will not be able to show this work on here. The question on there asks you to say what kind of polygon it forms. So you'll have to give a name for the shape. So to graph these, just remember your first number in your ordered pair is on your x-axis, which goes side to side. Your second one is your y-axis that goes up and down. You have to run before you can jump. So for that first one, you would go over 3 and up 1, and your first point would be right about there. You're going to graph all of these. It will make a shape in this coordinate. And then you're going to graph these, and it is going to make a different shape since they are all have a negative in them for their x-axis. That shape should end up being in coordinate, this second coordinate here. All right. And then just figure out the correct name, the most specific name you can for those shapes if you're doing it on Google Classroom. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to your teachers for help.